Greetings and salutations, folks, and welcome back to Red Dead Redemption 2, where we, in the alias of John Milton, are attempting to be a legitimate businessman who performs legitimate business. Now, I suppose we already know the end of this story, in that he does eventually become a legitimate businessman. So perhaps the goal of this is not just to introduce him trying to set himself up as a rancher, but also to see what happened to the other characters. Like,
Milton, get over here.
like
Mr.
Sadie
Gates,
and,
this is the new ranch hand I told you about.
Well, I heard you had some
and the
trouble
like.
with your welcome, but you kept your nerve and protected my property.
No, it was nothing, sir.
Well, David Geddes, pleased to meet you.
John, Jim, Milton.
I don't even know what my name is.
Opportunity, sir. You and Mr. Dickens.
Well, you work hard.
Also-
You be honest, you'll get your keep. I promise you that.
Boy has a family.
Oh, lucky man. Then you better work extra hard. Good day,
Howdy, sir.
gentlemen.
Sir?
You hear that, John Jim? Extra hard.
The name is Joey
over here.
Joey
Mr.
Jojo
Find old
Shabadoo.
Jim Milton here something to do. Make sure he works extra hard.
Sure, Mr. Dickens.
First name Charles. Do we both have... And he's like, what am I supposed to do with all these
Come on
tools?
this way. I was on my chores anyhow.
Alright.
Say, is that your family getting in the wagon up there?
Yes, it is.
Believe it is. Mind if we go welcome them?
Ah, this is actually convenient, because I was wondering...
Is it true what they said about you when you arrived? That you ran off those hired guns?
It's
Can
true.
we, not discuss this in front of my wife?
Oh, no. Sure. Yeah, of course, mister.
This is my son.
Yeah.
His name started with the letter L, Lancelot. This is my wife. I don't remember what name I gave her.
Mrs. Milton!
Jim Milton, how fine you seem. This kind man just collected us. Thank you, sir.
I think we can be okay here. It's ranching work. This place is kinda...
It's fine.
It's
I
fine.
hear you began your career in ranching by throwing your weight around. Real wise, Jim.
What was I supposed to do? The place was getting robbed.
So you show everyone who's boss? Real fine.
I didn't have much of a choice. I gotta go. Jack, when you're done in here, come on out and lend a hand.
That's true. Like, what is he gonna do? Just stand there and do nothing?
I was going to milk the cows.
Wow, milking cows seems like a great activity.
Are gonna milk the cows?
Sure. Why not?
Oh, I don't know. I thought you was,
I'm a ranch hand. A new one, at that.
when you got here, them hired guns?
I was just getting my wagon back. That's all. Weren't nothing.
Oh, it weren't nothing.
That's true. The hired guns weren't just stealing the groceries. They were also stealing his wagon.
Partner?
Around, you know. Up north, mostly. Been in these parts before, but that was years ago.
Oh, it's changed. The rich fellas are coming in and buying everything, the ranches. But, well, it ain't as wild as it once were, at least.
There is that.
Say, if it ain't too personal a question, are you a gunslinger, mister?
Good Lord, no.
No, I ain't hold a gun in my entire life, I
Just a
swear.
ranch hand, then.
Just a ranch hand. Failed at a bunch of things, like most men.
Well, I feel a whole heap better having a ranch hand like you around. That is for sure.
A ranch hand with too many secrets and traveled through vague cities.
All right, then.
Though I suppose it seems it's a little bit more on point to have John just come up with a terrible job coming up with his backstory,
Yeah, we used to
rather
have a
than
bunch of
come up with
women here
something
do most of the
accurate and
milking.
always
Most of them
be able
drift it
to
off.
say it
Okay.
perfectly.
You fine with milking?
You know, I ain't really done much of it. Could never never really get the hang of it.
You serious, mister?
Sure. It's Jim. Jim Milton.
Hey.
Look, all you need to do is play 1-2 switch.
Calm now.
That'll teach you everything you need to know about milking a cow. Oh, okay.
You got the hang of it. Almost got a pail full.
I was worried that this game was going to actually have me do a more complex cow milking minigame. And that would be utterly terrible.
Is that your boy?
Sure. Abe, Lancelot.
Well, hey, Lancelot. Hey. We're gonna make a dairy maid of your paw yet.
I never thought I'd see the day.
Watch and learn, partner. We all gotta earn our keep.
Yep.
That's enough, Jim. Come on. How about you and the boy help me clean out the stables?
Sure. Come on, son.
Though I think a discussion can be had in regards to the pacing of both this game along with games in general. It's something I've been thinking about in regards to this game. And it's something I also was thinking about in regards to Heavy Rain. In that video games generally...
Mr. Dickens said,
I know what he said. We'll do it. Won't we, boy?
Video games generally want players to do something. And the thing that always makes me think of that sort of thing is in Heavy Rain.
well, you get them stalls cleaned out and I'll see you
Where is
later.
Pitchfork?
Okay.
Specifically, there's the sequence where you're playing as the
Try and take
detective,
some pride in this
and you
work.
show up to
Hard
this
as it
woman's
may be.
home.
Boy, bring that wheelbarrow over here and keep it close to me.
Yes, sir.
And you go over to this woman's home to ask her about the origami killer. And
Hold on.
You're a long way from Angelo Bronte's mansion now.
yep.
Sorry, sir.
Nothing.
And when you walk, you ring the doorbell, nobody answers. You step inside,
Moving
and you
out.
find out that she has not only attempted to kill herself,
Guns?
but there's also her baby that needs to be taken care of.
Great.
Which, it's like, it's dramatic enough that you're trying to bandage up this woman who has attempted suicide. But then you also have this baby to take care of. And it feels to me like, especially for that sequence in Heavy Rain, like, it's just kind of like giving the player something to do. There's another sequence in that game where you first meet Madeline, I think is her name, the reporter character. When you first meet her, she's being stalked in her
Look at
apartment.
this horse shit.
And at the end of that scene, you realize that that was just actually a bad dream of hers. But
Reckon even your mother would say we're almost done here. You finish things up, I'll go check on her.
Okay.
that sequence doesn't really go anywhere. It doesn't teach us that is it Madeline? Madison. It's Madison. That Madison is paranoid. Like, I would imagine if somebody who's dreaming about people who are attacking her from the shadows of her own apartment is a paranoid person, but that's not part of her character. It's just there to give the player something to do. Now, in theory, I'm going to see how well I connect this with Red Dead Redemption 2. Like, every quest in Red Dead 2
Hey,
does ask you to do something. Whether it's fish,
Shoveling
collect
shit.
manure.
Pursue the better life you want. Same as I've been.
won't do him no harm.
I know.
Guess maybe we can last here.
Get drunk with Lenny.
Survive. Do a little better than survive for once. I'm tired of fleeing, John.
But if you consider, like, the
Well, you know.
expectations of a cowboy game, like the expectations of Heavy Rain is you expect quick time events, dialogue. Like, even if a situation just involves you talking to somebody, because there are choices that you have to make, means that you have actions to perform. There are always things to do as long as there's the expectation that you are doing the thing that you're expecting to do. But in regards to Red Dead Redemption 2, like, there was the expectation that you're going to be doing cowboy things in a game. The expectation that you're going to take down trains. But there's also the Rockstar's own goal of making this less of a cowboy game and more of a wild, not even a Wild West simulator, a Western simulator. You're not playing as the legend and the myth. You're playing as the gunslinger himself. And you can kind of see that in that quest involving little boy Calloway, where you discover, okay, he wasn't quite the legend he claimed to be. And the writer who writes the story about him goes on to create this fictional tale about his accomplishments. But that's not what Red Dead Redemption 2 is necessarily about. It's not necessarily about the fictional accomplishments. It's about the day-to-day life that exists. As you're riding from town to town, meeting strangers, meeting people, which creates a much slower-paced game. And it presents the idea that, sure, it is always going to give the player something to do, but because of the way that the game is paced, because of the expectation for how much excitement a player should necessarily expect at any given time, a person's going to, like, this is going to be more paced towards, like, that epic Western Odyssey, more than it is necessarily, like, you look at Call of Juarez games, and those games are all about running and gunning, with the exception of Call of Juarez 1, where it's all about, like, oh, there's that sequence where you have to climb a mountain to collect a feather, and it's just there for reasons. I don't know. But, like, with Red Dead Redemption 2, I feel like that slower pacing, not just the slower pacing, but also kind of making the activities that you do more menial, is also kind of meant to make those more exciting moments stand out more. But I feel like I'm rambling a little bit now. I'll try to carry this on another day. In the meantime, we got more Red Dead 2 coming up later today. Tomorrow, Assassin's Creed Wednesday and Thursday. Quantum of Solace for the PlayStation 2 Friday. Under a Killing Moon Saturday and Sunday. Got any suggestions for something to play next? Leave them down in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe and have yourselves a good day.